How do you create something that's different than everyone else? You do it differently than everyone else. Here at Copeland Creative, we specialize in telling captivating stories of wild people, wild things, and wild places. We don't just capture the story, we immerse ourselves in it. We are a diverse, multi-talented media house based in North Georgia, and if you have a story that needs told, we want to help you tell it.
It's in my ear.
Yo. All right, we are live.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah.
I'll have to check. My
What's
wife
wrong?
is messaging me. I am on a podcast.
Good start.
My dog is currently yipping downstairs, and we're 9 minutes behind because nothing wants to work again.
We're 6 minutes behind.
I'm about to lose my
9
mind.
minutes.
3:03 was the podcast time.
I'm about to lose my
3:03.
mind.
Yeah,
on
apparently that's
app
more.
developers.
Apparently that's more memorable. Is what Ryer said. Psychology. Don't question him. He got some grade in AP Psych.
I passed the AP Psych exam with a 5 out of 5.
There's only 5 questions?
But
No,
can't
you
get the
a
mics to
score
work.
I can get the mics to work. The problem is the mics that work are in Iowa.
That's a good spot for him, really.
Mhm.
It is.
It's great.
That's going to be super great when we're there doing a podcast.
Do I know you?
You literally set me up. So Keagan is here. For those of you that do not follow us on social media, which I highly doubt that you don't follow us on social media if you listen to the podcast. But Keegan's used to being on the other side of this. He's used to being a listener to the podcast.
That's dumb.
And he just recently started working with us, and he is here on the podcast with Keagan. If you're not watching on YouTube, then you cannot see him. If you're not watching on Instagram Live or TikTok, we're live on all 3 of them today. The audio sucks on Instagram and on TikTok, so if you're not on YouTube, you suck. We only do it for you. Ryer does it for you, because if it was up to us other 3, we wouldn't do it. Ryer is the one that insists that we do it, so that is why we do it. So every platform imaginable, you have access to us to ask questions. You've already asked questions on Instagram, so we are going to do our best to answer those questions here in just a little bit. But I'm trying to do 13 things at once. Listen to my dog bark downstairs, and trying to host a podcast at the same time. This is the last week's podcast. I'm trying to find this one so I can answer a comment that just came in. Where is my live YouTube studio? Here it is.
Really, this is just a great example of what we do here. Multitasking.
Oh, lots of,
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, again, app developers being
Why-
stupid.
yeah.
Why does that not fill the screen?
Why does
If you
why
turn
is,
it the
why
other
is
way, does it
Instagram
fill?
not compatible on iPad, iOS?
If you turn it,
No,
if you
it's
turn it
still small.
vertical, that's
still
dumb.
small. Yeah,
That's
it's
dumb.
the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I can't find.
It's always
See, like here's another thing. Like we're currently live on this YouTube channel. I cannot find where the video's where it is at, so I can monitor the feed.
Hold on Instagram.
No, on YouTube.
I
Hold
also
on.
cannot monitor the feed from the Redneck Tech.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah, it's
Got it.
right here.
Found
Got
it. All right, let me turn
Because-
the audio off here. Because we have comments on it, and I'm trying to... Oh, we have several comments on it. Okay.
See if they're
Taylor's here. Winter Productions is here. Tim's here. Devin's here. Sweet. All right, we got several people here. Yo. We're here. All right.
Let's go check the TikTok now. Too many places.
Well, I can monitor the
Do you want to turn that down a smidge?
what you can hear.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's not going to mess up any audio, right?
No.
How about that?
That's
Get
much
Clay.
less ear
Look
bleeding.
at Clay. He's running the board. Professional. Hey, and Ryer, you know what else we didn't do this podcast? I still didn't combine the 2 tracks so we can do it correctly.
Hmm?
The 2 tracks so we didn't have to hit the buttons. I didn't.
That's a minor problem to me now. I just at this point I'm focused on
Ryer has a full mat on. He is
Yeah.
not his normal bubbly self.
That's great. Love that.
What are you doing?
It's like I'm not even here.
Isn't that your
I
dream?
thought that's what you would want.
Well, no, I have a hat on today, so I can see myself.
So what happens if you turn the camera?
Thanks, iPad.
Turn your lock on.
I wanted to see you sit there with your head turned sideways the whole time.
Why would it do that?
Probably because that's vertical and it can't transform a live feed to horizontal.
Yeah, but over here it's working fine.
It doesn't.
It's horizontal right now when I'm just like on on your following part of TikTok, and then when I go to click into it to watch it, it's like, oh, just kidding, we'll turn it the other way. And nothing has changed. Terrible UI. Terrible UI. Let's try that.
Nope. Swerve.
Why don't you monitor the TikTok since you have your phone?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh.
See,
You obstinate
and
son
I was
of a gun.
and I was upset
Gun
that
was not the
I
word
was
I wanted
upset
to
that
use.
Ryer getting a new gadget was going to minimize his outbursts, but yet here we are trying to hold down.
Oh,
an
we're
outburst.
always going to find a new way for Ryer to have outbursts.
If things would work the way they need to, I wouldn't have them.
Kind of ironic that you can only see the worst part of my body, the most non-functional part of my body, in the
Yeah, your white legs, old Casper.
old bum knees.
It doesn't
Too
look
bad he's not a friendly ghost.
doesn't look terrible on there. I mean,
I'm
really
curious how it
doesn't.
sounds, because that microphone is
Well,
a
then
long way
turn
away.
that up. Turn your volume up and just listen.
We like to test things live, guys.
Well, there's no other way to test them. You can't test them offline.
That's what I'm saying.
Another terrible design.
It's just so people know we're authentic.
Can you hear?
It sounds like a live stream from 1999, when webcams were first invented. That fan is pretty loud.
Well, we're leaving the fan because it's hot up here. Can you hear Puddin' down there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nice.
That's how you know.
You know what we should here? I got an idea. We should make the other streams so bad they have to go watch them on YouTube, so we don't have to do them anymore.
Well,
That sounds real bad.
which one is that? That's Instagram. How's TikTok sound?
This is TikTok.
Oh, that's not Instagram.
Caleb's got you. You were supposed to be on Instagram. You get Instagram.
Oh, sorry.
He's riding the fuss train. We're going to talk about that new Apple Studio.
Not yet.
Maybe.
We could talk about that. We have it.
We will tease it a little.
Yeah, that sounds like doo-doo too.
Oh, yeah, they're all going to sound like doo-doo.
You're welcome, guys.
Matthew Newton on TikTok says, "What's up, Caleb and crew?" Sup. From 1/3 of crew.
Quarter.
No, he said Caleb and crew. You're Caleb. 3 are crew. So I would be 1/3 of crew.
Oh, well, that doesn't make sense to my brain. Okay, all right, let's roll into the podcast. Oh, and the good news is this was Keegan's little rodeo on this one, so let's go.
That helps.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by MikesArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit MikesArchery.com and get your gear now.
Right here, right here, right here, right here. Yeah. You want him? Yeah.
Everyone is still muted so that I have the ability to say that I messed up the intro. I hit the intro before I hit the record button.
Yeah.
Now everyone is unmuted.
Yeah, so you can thank Clay for missing the first 2 or 3 words.
Well,
of the
we got new
intro.
company. I got nervous.
So, for those of you listening to the podcast and have read the description of this podcast and are not watching live on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok right now, new face on the podcast today. That is Keagan Keddell. Is it Keddell or Keddell? Or Keddell or Kettle?
The first 3 times you said it, nailed it.
Keddell.
The
Keedle?
4th
Okay.
time, not
Keagan
good.
Keddell?
Keddell. It's really hard to say Keegan.
You know
it's
how
like
I
a
remember it
Keagan
now?
Keddell?
Waddell?
Odell,
Odell?
but with a
Like
K.
Odell Beckham Jr.?
yes,
But
exactly.
Not good at sports.
Huh?
But not good at sports.
Well, that's okay.
So, Keegan's been with us technically for a little over a week now, week and a half, technically.
Yeah, I've already
When did
lost track.
Yeah, not well. That's gonna get worse. Ask Ryer. So
Yeah, what is time? I feel like I live in Interstellar.
Oh, we don't have enough time on this podcast for us to get into that, Ryer.
Yeah. Well, so
Time is merely a construct, anyhow.
anyway, so Keegan's here, officially part of the crew. I can go through his stuff and we'll talk about some of it, but why don't you introduce yourself? Because you're a longtime podcast listener. It's your first time on the podcast.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
See what I did, dude. Like, at some point, I'm just going to walk away from the podcast and I'm going to push it over to Clay and Ryer and you and be like, best of luck, guys.
But when we took the
okay.
podcast into our own hands, what happened?
It was a disaster.
Huh?
I laughed, but it was a disaster. It was the most cluster F of a podcast we've ever done.
When we did the new intro?
Yes.
How was that a cluster?
It was a
That was professional AF.
no. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's let Keegan introduce himself,
You're just
please.
jealous. You're just jealous, is all.
Sorry, I got distracted by Puddin barking down the stairs.
Yeah, it's bad. This is a distractions everywhere. And I feel like Ryer. Is this how Ryer feels all the time?
Odds are high.
Yeah, except for now it's horrific.
So, tell us about yourself, Keegan.
Yeah, I mean, I started listening to the podcast.
Move your microphone closer. You're doing what Ryer does.
No, I turned him down. It was a joke.
Oh. I was like, what? He sounds very, very shallow. All right, now go
That
ahead.
was a bad joke. Weak
Thanks.
punchline.
Well, it got ruined.
Starting off real shallow. That's a great intro to Georgia. Yeah, so now that Clay stopped messing with stuff, I started listening to the podcast about a year and a half ago, just under 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Binge watched
How'd you find us, first of all? I don't mean to interrupt.
Instagram.
Just Instagram? Just
Yeah,
Okay.
scrolling through. I mean, I found Redneck Tech long before I found Copeland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you know we were associated, or was it just
Once I started listening to the podcast,
Because
not
people
like,
still don't put the two and two together, which is funny to me. They're like, "Oh, Copeland Creative is part of Redneck Tech." I'm like, "Well, Copeland Creative came before Redneck Tech, but whatever."
yeah, I stumbled onto Redneck Tech and then didn't start listening to the podcast for probably 6 months after I found the page.
Mm-hmm.
Just like doing stuff, and I mean, I was guiding up in Alaska, so it's not like I was listening to podcasts and all that.
Yeah.
And then when I started filming for 2 years ago for a company down in Kansas, gutting duck hunts and filming photography, I started listening to the podcast because I was driving like 14-hour stints, just trying to consume as much outdoor media content as I possibly could. And, you know, eventually that led to coming to the production class, that last editing class in February. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow I call it good fortune or bad fortune, depending on which company's listening. And here we are.
It's good fortune now. Wait till about
August 1st.
wait till about October the 15th, when you've not been home yet, and then you're like, maybe this was bad fortune. That's the bad thing. Like, I wish that you could stretch hunting seasons to, like, if I could do like a week or 10 days on a trip, then come home for a week or 10 days, and then go a week or 10 days and come home for a week or 10 days. That would be perfect for me. Never works out that way.
Oh, see, I'm used to being gone for like 5 months at a time. So,
Well-
like, let's go.
I'm ready. Guess what? You're about to get your wish.
Well,
Ask these two.
Our problem, and I think it's a good problem to have, is like our specifically our clients don't want anyone else there. So anytime they're anywhere but their house, they want us there,
Mm-hmm.
which is good because that means they like us. But it's bad because anytime they're not at their house, they want us there.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be
Did you have a stroke a minute ago? You tried to say specifically?
specifically.
No, that is a good thing, but that goes against, or that goes together with what Ryer and I talked about when we were, because Ryer and I talked about bringing you to the team for what, ever since you left the class, probably. And we talked about it. How many times do you think we talked about it, Ryer? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
And my number one question was like, how is Keagan as a dude? Like, I mean, we hung out when you were here for the class, but like, and I knew you had skills in photography. I mean, obviously you could tell that, but my whole thing was like, and I knew you were going to be a good dude because anybody that can guide and be with generally douchebaggy clients, because I've been around douchebaggy clients before in Alaska.
A lot of those.
Anybody who can keep a job doing that can generally deal with people and deal with adversity and deal with rolling with punches and bad things happening, good things happening, and all of the above, and then being gone for months and months at a time and weeks at a time. Those are all qualities you don't find in a lot of people. And I knew on the video side, I mean, you come with more of a photography background than a video background.
Yeah, big time.
But I think that translates really well into video. It's literally just trying to tell a story with pictures that move versus pictures that don't move. Photography, in my opinion, is definitely an easier skill than doing a really good job on the video side. But I think it's one of those things to where you're going to be doing it enough, you'll pick it up quickly. And especially if you're with one of us. And you'll also see the different styles. Like, I'm kind of a hybrid of them two. He shoots more than he does, and I shoot in the middle of both of them. So it's like, it's one of those things to where you'll see people's, how they approach a situation, how they approach a shoot or a hunt or a recovery or whatever.
I think Clay has edged you out on shooting.
Really?
I think Clay shoots more than you know.
Oh, yeah.
After my edit? You're unhappy with my edit? You're unhappy with my shooting on my Texas edit? Is that what you're saying?
We could have used some more stuff.
Oh, I'm sure you could have. You could always use more, though.
I mean, also there was a certain pace.
You know what I wanted, though, Briar?
What?
I wanted to challenge your editing abilities. That's what I did it for. It's
Yeah.
really- yeah.
Do you think that I am not challenging myself enough?
Well, I edited Texas. I had plenty. So you edited Kansas and you didn't have enough. What would you have liked to have had?
Just like more B-rolly things, just more random B-rolly things, and cutaways. A little bit more cutaways.
I hate cutaways. I try and do as few cutaways as I can. I hate them.
I could tell.
Hate them. I do them, but I hate them. Yeah.
Here's
Here's
a question.
Don't disagree.
Do you
with
like
me.
having all of your cutaways in one clip, or do you like having them separate?
It doesn't really matter to
I
me.
can answer that question. Separate clips. I use my bin with all my clips as a progress of how far I've gotten in my edit. Once I start getting to the bottom of that bin, I know how far I've gotten in that edit. You know, that's kind of how it works out in my brain that way anyway. But getting back to Keagan. So Keagan's role here is going to be more burning down roads and handling all in-house social media, because we've got several accountants that we run here. He's got some ideas for things that he wants to do, and I more than happily want to slide that down to you. Ryer has gotten to where he's really, really busy editing and chief editing, and Clay's going to be doing a lot of shooting.
What was that, chief editing?
Yeah.
Do I need to get new business cards?
Should I?
You shouldn't
Shouldn't
have said that ever.
I shouldn't
Well,
have said
my
that.
business card does
Scrap
not
this
say
podcast.
editor. Therefore,
We need to
We
scrap
can
this
get
whole
new business cards.
podcast.
You know how cheap
restart.
business
That's
I can
fine.
get business
I would-
cards for
I just-
$11.
perfect. I'll pay for them myself. Take them out of my next paycheck.
Because you want yours to say producer editor.
I don't care if it says producer. It can say field producer editor, but I don't like giving
What does it say now?
field producer.
Okay, I want you to know I didn't make your
Who made
yours.
'em?
I sent them to Jason and he made them. And I should have caught that yours didn't say editor as well. I'm sorry, Clay.
It's a big blow in the chest for me as a man when I hand people a business card and they don't think I can edit. We've already had one client think I can't edit.
Who said that? Oh, well. He's
Why
an
would you
idiot.
mouth it and mute yourself?
In case.
Seems
Yeah.
a little redundant.
Yeah, American Psycho business cards.
Ooh, that would be cool. Just want mine to say Red Velvet, and then on the back it'll just say Chief Editor,
You should go to like a Hobby Lobby.
and it'll just be matte black,
You
with
should
a piece
very
of cake
thick
on it.
stock. Yes.
you should just
Ooh, no name, only a piece of cake. Then I'll do that. Say Chief Editor. Then if I ever get into doing crimes, I could leave that as my calling card.
or
Hella
you could
mysterious.
go to
Order
like,
your own cards.
you could go to a Hobby Lobby and get a 4 foot by 4 foot thing of like red felt, and just cut it out in business card shapes and glue it to the back of each business card.
For as many times as I ever hand out a business card, and as many times as people look at the business cards for qualifications.
Or don't throw them away.
Yeah, you aren't the business card handing out type.
No.
You really, like, when I'm on the phone, I can just see you roll your eyes. You're like, ugh. Like, you having meaningful conversations with clients, just, it's just not there.
I like meaningful conversations with It's not that I don't like meaningful
No, you don't. You like
conversations.
two kinds of meaningful conversations: airplanes
And
workflow.
I love work. In fact,
Other than that, you're like, eh.
do you know what's very exciting that I keep seeing in my future?
Oh boy,
Like
this is going to be
we're getting
enlightening.
to a point where there's like a dwindling amount of edits right this second that I have to tackle.
You want some more? I can find more.
But what I'm saying is, I could maybe like take some time to actually work through and develop a bunch of standardizations and processes for all of us to be on the same page. That makes me
The problem with that, though, Roger, is they all have to make sense for us, too.
well, yes.
So, like,
it would be a collaborative effort.
Preach.
Take your version and then give us a For Dummies book, and then give me a For Extra Dummies book, and then we're in, baby.
Here's what I want. I want you to develop the processes, but here's what I want. I want as few clicks to get what I want as possible. I don't want 19 folders to get there.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but we can't put it all in one click.
Yes, you can. You know why? Because if it's all inside of one master folder, it's all there. You just got to search for it. It's just, oh, look, scroll down. Oh, there's what I needed right there.
That only works if you know what you need.
Yeah, well, it's all there.
But that only works if
What do
you're
you
the
mean?
one who knows what you need.
What do you mean if not know what I need? It's all there. You open the project, it's there.
That would be like just me walking into a pile of laundry and looking for an unspecified shirt that you want.
Yeah, but you don't need to know where it's at. You right-click, reveal in project. There it is.
Well, you're not always revealing things in the project.
I am.
I'm talking about if you needed to get something off of the Finder, or you needed to find a certain graphic, or you needed to find a certain clip, or
They're all
something.
color-coded.
Welcome to the team.
They're all color-coded. You just go find them. And if you know what they're named, you know exactly where they're at. We all have a similar naming structure. It's all there.
It's not good. I literally will bring in the book that I'm reading
I'm
right
not
now
reading a book. Not.
and show
I
you
wanna
why
learn to read.
no editor ever operates that way.
Oh, maybe I'm the anomaly. You can be the anomaly in some things. I can be the anomaly in others.
Well, Roger's the anomaly in a lot of things.
A lot of things. I know. That's why, like, his structure, does it make sense? Yes. Does it save time? No. I'm about saving time. It costs
saved-
time.
no, but
because you
the
cost
problem
every time you
is-
got to find something, it's 6 clicks to get there, and you extrapolate 6 clicks over the course of an entire project.
5 minutes.
No.
Think of the longevity of the arthritis in your finger
Oh
if
my
you save
gosh.
6 clicks every time you try and get to something.
I hate that. I hate it. I really do. And like
But the
they look at things in that. I don't know what the view is where you
Column.
have column. Hate it. Hate column.
That
view.
is the most efficient way to look at it.
I know well, it might be, but I hate it. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to
But it
list view.
saves time. You're all about saving time. So if it's the most efficient, why not?
No,
look
it's
at
not
it
because
that
it goes all the way over here, and I have to drag it out further to see what the file name is to find what I want. Hate it.
We have to have some folders.
We're gonna work together on this,
We'll
and you're gonna
yeah.
hate my input, but we're gonna butt heads on it. But we're gonna figure it out.
I'm fine with compromise. What I'm not fine with is just a dump folder.
See, but
That's
you,
what you
but
have.
you have like
you have
5
a dump
folders. You have like
folder.
a media, a projects, a whatever. 4 of those I don't even use. I use 2 of them. Why do we need all of them?
You have to have some sort of organization. Yes, do I go a little bit overboard? Sure.
Very much so.
But we can't just
What?
dump things into one folder. That would be like you do this. That would be like you just taking all of your things and throwing it into a pile. And every time you have to go get that thing, you have to go search through the whole pile.
What pile? What are you talking
The
about?
audio drawer we just look for mics in.
It's an audio drawer. You find it in the audio drawer.
Well, it was not in the audio drawer.
It's organized into a drawer. One drawer. I don't need 4 drawers
then
for audio. One drawer.
Oh,
why
but
was it-
hey, what is that drawer in? It's in a cabinet. What's the cabinet in? It's in a room. What's the room in? It's in an office. You don't just have a pile sitting in the living room. That's all I'm saying. The way you edit is like having a pile of stuff in your living room. It's not put into other rooms or closets.
I'm
It's
in,
just
in
a
between
pile.
you two on it. I make a folder.
I'm in between me too. That's worked for me for years.
I make a folder when
He's
I
too
need it.
far. I know what I do doesn't work for everybody. I want a happy medium.
Well,
That's
see,
what I'm trying to propose because am I saying that does not work? No, it certainly works. It works if you're the only one who has to handle
I
that
think
project.
it's got to be as simple as all media goes in a media folder. All the audio goes in an audio folder. Music, sound effects, all of it. Voiceover can all go in the same place.
graphics.
Graphics goes in one place, and that's it. You need 3 folders. You don't need anything
But those 3 folders need to go inside a project folder.
Okay. So there's 2 clicks to get what I need to, not 4 or 6.
Well, see, but what Ryer does is he has a folder structure saved that he just copy and pastes. So sometimes there's folders in there that are completely empty that don't get used.
Yeah, and that drives me insane.
So I create the same thing he has, but I only make the only folder's only in there if it has something in it. If that makes sense.
There's just a lot of folders. A lot of folders.
We have to have some folders. We can't have no folders.
I know you have to have some
we
folders.
have to have some folders.
Okay, let's get back. Where were we?
Think of the benefit, though, that the people that actually listen to this are going to get, not from that conversation, but from the end result of all of these conversations when we just share all this information.
Well,
and they're just like, thanks, guys.
Here's what I want people to figure out, though. We still don't have it figured out. I mean, we still fuss and fight and bicker and try and figure out the most efficient way. Like, I'm always looking for efficiencies. Ryer is obviously always looking for efficiencies. But how can we create a system that's efficient for everybody? That's the question that we have all the time. And we haven't figured it out yet. We're still working on it. And now adding you to the mix, we have to be more organized than ever. Because if I work on something and I pass it off to you, and you work on something, you pass it off to Clay, and he passes it off to Ryer, well, if we don't have standardization, then we don't know where anything is. And if we don't, like, I'm to the point, too, where at the end of a big project or in any edit, we almost need to go through Project Manager and consolidate the project. Because when things get moved, things get deleted, things get reorganized, things get offline. But if you have a consolidated project, it's always there.
Yeah.
Especially for, like, TV shows or, like, big edits. And then those consolidations get to be the only thing saved after 3 years. We delete the raw files and keep the consolidations. You know, at some point we can't keep everything. Like, we're running out of space now on a 96 terabyte server that I constantly have to go in and find things that we don't need anymore, which as soon as you delete something, you'll need it. You know, as soon as I get rid of something, we're going to need it for something else. Like, Keegan's asking me, like, where can I go find clips for reels for social media? I'm like, where can't you find stuff for reels? I mean, there's literally every folder, if you start digging, you're going to find something that can be used. You know, and then the nuances, like, what can he use, what can he not use, what have we used, what haven't we used? I don't even know. You know, and how do we track that? How do we manage that? How do I communicate with him on what to post? How does Ryer, one thing we've always wanted to do and do better at is, as we're editing, pull things as we're editing to put them places to be able to use for later. Like, at the end of the year, it would be nice to where the folder's already created to make the reel. And every year we have to go back and take an entire 2 or 3 days to pull footage just for our reel. Because we never think about it when we're editing, because we're always doing things, and this is another complaint Ryer has. This is a complaint that I have. We're always doing things so quickly. Like, we turn things faster than anybody can turn them. I would venture to guess nobody can compete with us on turnaround time. But
we do that to ourselves.
But we do that, and we've done that to ourselves, and our clients expect it. But that's also while we're in business and while we're doing well. But at the same time, it makes it to where we lose the time to consolidate projects, to organize projects better. But and the reason we don't do that is because clients will not pay for it. I can't pass that cost of an extra day on the end of an edit to a client, as much as I would love to. And you start extrapolating an extra day on every edit we do, holy crap. I mean, we need another 5 people. We don't have that. And we're working with outdoor channel, or we're working with outdoor company budgets, which is virtually non-existent. We're working on shoestring budgets all the time with even less timeline. So is there a happy medium? There's got to be. We've got to create one. Or we've got to be more efficient in the editing to where we have that extra time at the end to do these things, to make ourselves more efficient, because the reel every year takes 2 or 3 weeks, from conception to pulling the footage to editing to done. It shouldn't take longer than a week. I would love to have that sucker sitting there ready January 1st every year, to drop that thing January 1st.
Well, the problem is sometimes the stuff we want to put into reel, we're not done shooting till January 1st.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Winter Productions.
Also, Derek's been blowing us up on the TikTok.
Oh, has he?
With all kind of GIFs and things.
Nice. Derek Stoner?
Yeah.
Nice. We're doing this for you, Derek. We love you.
Derek's the one who got us on the TikTok Live. He's the one who said we had to hop on the TikTok Live train. And then Keagan was talking about it today.
So, speaking of, Keagan, what is it we're talking about today now that we have ranted and raved for the first
22 minutes.
22 minutes of the podcast?
Boy, we were going to talk about the difference between shooting photos and videos for social media versus like what we would do for like a magazine cover and or the difference between TV show content filming versus like a short film or something bigger than that.
Here's a question. What if...
Oh, you're asking a question. Okay, go ahead.
What if, for the sake of the podcast, we could stop the recording and that could just be a random 22-minute one for people to consume quickly, and then we could just start a new one with that topic so it's self-contained for just the iTunes?
Follow me. I don't care.
What do you think about that, Keagan? Do you think that would be useful or not useful? Would you rather just hear everything in an hour and a half or have two of them?
Yeah, since you listen to more of these than we do. We just talk the whole time.
Do two of them.
I can turn a 22-minute show in 3 days. Oh, nice.
Who said that?
Tim.
Do two of them. Well,
Tim who?
That's quick.
Who's Tim?
I think I've done it a couple times. I've done that.
Tim
Well,
who?
I just turned a 20-something minute one in 2 days. Texas 1 and 2.
Who's Tim?
Yeah, it was 15 minutes and 11 minutes, so it was, what's that?
Yeah.
26 minutes.
I don't know how to say his
Okay.
last name.
It's it's like Wheaties, like Wheatie. That's how you say it.
Yeah, let's stop that.
All right, so we're going to end this podcast.
No, we're not ending this one.
Oh.
For everybody who's watching right now,
Oh.
we're not
Well, I meant
ending
you were
anything.
we're ending the one for the thing.
We're going to end the one, if you're listening only,
Yeah.
after the fact. We're ending this one, and then we're going to immediately pick up on the other topic to make things more digestible.
Okay, well, the Instagram Live will all be in one. It won't be in two, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Wrong button, dummy. Gosh.
And you didn't mute us, so now we get to talk over the whole thing.
Real flaccid today.
Man. Clay.
You're going to have to fix this in post.
Clay might be fired from the board.
You're going to have to fix this in post.
he does this on purpose.
Clay sucks.
Right here. Yeah. You want it? We're sorry, Mike's Archery. We apologize. You can thank Clay for not doing that. Go ahead and just hit it right now. We'll just hit it now.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Mike'sArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit Mike'sArchery.com and get your gear now.
All right. Well, now that that's completely out of order,
You know
it's
what
fine.
I did think about, though?
What's that?
Is
Why are they not just on one button?
Well, we've talked about this.
Oh.
Continue.
is we just need to start playing the Mike's Archery at like random times so people never know when it's coming. They just never know when it's going to happen.
So
Remember how we did this so that it would be more organized, and then immediately we just started with less organization than we had in the first 22 minutes of the last episode?
you know why? It's because I'm not running the board. I just need to take control of the whole thing.
I feel like Clay's doing this on purpose so that he doesn't
Sometimes.
have to be delegated to
Sometimes.
It's called weaponized incompetence.
So this is technically, I guess, going to be episode 145 now. We just did a short
Wow.
22-minute podcast. We're going to double up today. And this podcast is one that we essentially handed Keagan the reins, which we just introduced Keagan. If you don't know who Keagan is, listen to the previous episode. And the subject of this podcast is going to be what again? Explain it to me again.
So we're going to try and go over the difference between shooting photos for social media versus like a magazine cover, or the difference between shooting for like social media content, YouTube shows, TV shows versus like bigger films or short film type.
So let's start on the photo side. And I think the biggest, and I want to defer to you to this too, but the way that we even got on this conversation was we were looking through the Smug Mug earlier today, and we came across the Rent Guns and Gear pictures. That was the first shoot you ever did. It's actually when you're technically still working with Mark. And we had Irwin there. Shout out to Irwin. And Irwin is an incredible photographer, but he's used to really doing a lot of catalog and magazine images.
I mean, he was a Bass Pro Shop staff photographer.
And he takes incredible images. But at the end of the day, what we were doing for that shoot was we were doing more just social media images. And when you're shooting for essentially magazine covers and when you're shooting for social media, those are two different types of shots or two different even approaches. And kind of how I wanted to talk about it was because you just got done doing a shoot with Dudley. It was your first quote-unquote official outing with Copeland Creative and Dudley. And you took how many raw images before you start editing?
Just over 14,000.
14,000?
In how many days?
5.
That's a bunch of pictures.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's a bunch of pictures. So, but when you went, I told you, I'm like, look, it's I can't talk like Clay now. Quantity over quality. It's like we're taking as many solid social media images as we can.
For Dudley.
We weren't there to create a magazine cover for Inside Archery. We weren't there for PSC. We weren't there for, some publication. We were there to fill content buckets for as much stuff as Dudley needed, whether that's PSC, whether that was Volcon, whether that was Sitka, whether that was Killcliff, whether that was Black Rifle, whether that was whoever. There's so many products associated with them. You're filling buckets. And when you're doing that, my approach is spray and pray. It's like anything that's happening, I'm changing angles and I'm taking lots and lots and lots of pictures. I'm trying to get the best light I can, but you can't just wait for the right light when that's the kind of shoot that you're on. So
yeah, so
that's
much of
my
that
approach.
You almost have to just take what you have and shoot for post. I mean, social media wise, what else are you gonna do if you're in a blind and you can get a good image out of this, but you're not gonna have the light. You're not gonna be able to put a bounce up. You're not gonna be able to do anything, but you can kind of do your settings for how you can play with it in Lightroom.
Yeah.
And make it a good image still.
Yeah, you're shooting to where you can get that. And here's the thing: when you think about taking pictures for social media, how long does the lifespan of that image once it goes on social media? Maybe a day, 2 at the most.
Well, nowadays Instagram, if you scroll through and look at a post, the next time you update Instagram to see that post again, you have to click like view previous post, so it's not even on the same feed roll. So, I mean, once you've seen it, it's basically done unless you go back and search for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, other than, especially with, followers, like that image, the lifespan of that image is at most 2 days. At most. And, I mean, how long are they looking at that picture? Like, let me just scroll through Instagram just to see how long. Let me just go to our Instagram. Like, let me scroll through what's on there. Video, picture, video, mostly video. There's a picture. Another video.
Yeah.
Another video. Another video. Another video. Another video. Another video. Every one of them are videos. I literally haven't got a picture yet. There's a picture. First one, Mike's Archery. I mean, what was 2 seconds? But like literally, look at this feed I just went through.
Oh yeah, almost.
I mean, video.
And I mean, that's so much of how Instagram's trying to compete now.
There's a
with
picture,
TikTok.
but that's an ad. Video. Like, we need to stop posting videos apparently, or pictures apparently. Jesus. So,
your average viewer is going to have 1 to 2 seconds with that piece of content. And if you're creating content for a brand that, like dud. He's posting twice a day.
At least.
So, I mean, by the end of, what do you get, 9? When you open up a profile view, you get 9 images. So by the end of 3.5 days, that image is no longer even in the, not even viewable once you go to the profile. You have to scroll down to it. And I don't know about, you might know more than me, Keagan, but I don't know about user behavior, but I imagine that most people aren't really scrolling through accounts very often.
No, I mean, when was the last time that you clicked on somebody's account and scrolled through? Unless they were somebody that just followed you, random person that interacted with some of your content, or they had something really cool that you saw.
Occasionally, I will, like, I'll go to that deal, the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of scroll through this because I feel like it's not the same crap I always see. And I'll see something that's interesting, like, hey, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll go and look at the first 10 or 15 pictures, and then I'll kind of go back and, you know, kind of the same thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, but here's my thing. I very rarely do this anymore. If I'm scrolling, I'm on TikTok. I'm not on Instagram.
Well, that's why you're seeing all these reels now, because Instagram's attempting to compete with TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah, the only time that
TikTok's
somebody
just better, in my opinion.
only time that somebody is like you said, viewing a profile is if they've seeked it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've came across it. So
Well, essentially, it's your landing page for whatever you're doing now.
right.
It's like if somebody goes to Copeland Creative, they're like, oh, these guys work for these people and they're capable of these things. You know, that's how I view it, is like that's your resume. For like if you send it to somebody, like, hey, you know, what's your Instagram? Well, it's Cope Creative. And they'll go back and they're like, oh, man, they take good pictures. Oh, they do good video. Oh, they work with those people. That's what it is. And, you know, it's that necessary evil. And I think TikTok is now the one where it's the endless scroll with the funnies, with the lower production value, and the how-tos, obviously the TNA. It's just got a little bit of everything, and it's just mindless scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. But all the video, hopefully, that means we stay in business longer because people need it.
I feel like TikTok almost has the goal to do what golf does to me, to where I can play golf and hit one good shot, and then I continue to play golf, trying to hit that one good shot again. And TikTok gets you continually scrolling, looking for that one next TikTok that makes you just literally laugh till you cry.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next one, and it's not as funny, so you continually scroll till you try to find that one.
That's it's obviously not my love language with my wife, but we send TikToks back and forth to each other all the time. And then Ryer sends me some. I send them to Chuck. I
feel like you don't watch mine.
I watch every one that you send me.
You don't ever respond.
Some of them aren't that funny.
Oh, I'm sorry that he didn't validate you.
I just wanted that
Thanks,
camaraderie. Just wanted that.
We have.
camaraderie.
I watch every one of them. That's the first thing I do is I look at my messages. Oh, which ones? Some of them are really funny. Some of them are like, that's not funny. I can see how Ryer would think this is funny. But I do
just
watch
want you
all
to
of
know
them.
I don't even send you half the ones I think are funny because I know that you just won't like them.
Well, like Dudley never laughs at them. Makes me mad. Like I'll find some that are just hilarious, and he's just like, "It's not funny. It's not funny." And then this man had never seen the Chappelle Show before.
That's insane to me.
I know.
Did you see Chappelle got attacked?
Yeah, I know. Did you see what Chris Rock did when he came up to him? He's like, "Was that Will Smith?"
Did you see where Mike Tyson got in that fight on the airplane?
Oh yeah.
Who fought Mike Tyson on
No
a
one.
plane?
He fought someone.
Oh,
yeah.
there
Some
was
guy
no
was messing with him.
Dude,
He finally just got up and
He
beat
turned
him up.
around the back of the chair and just.
Who messes with Mike Tyson?
And somebody is not
Who's
very
like
smart.
Who's like, you know what? This is the guy I want to mess with today, Mike Tyson.
You know, I read a stat today. I know we're going off subject again. That it was like showing how Conor McGregor's had 14 fights in like the last 12 years, and it showed Mike Tyson had 14 fights in 1994. Like, okay, don't mess with that guy. So,
I think the point that we were trying to get to that we strayed away from was
we never stray.
when you are creating content, obviously you need to think about where it's going, and on social media, especially, the priority is not on the best imagery because it's not going to live long, and it's not going to capture people's attention for more than 1 or 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to argue with you on that one. I think
Okay.
you still want to take the best imagery, but what you also need to know is that it's okay to have flaws in that image, and not flaws that are like going to make it out of focus, unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know, colored bad, edited poorly, like cropped. You know, rule of thirds needs to apply, all of that stuff. But what the difference between a social media image and like magazine cover is, a social media image doesn't need to be life-changing.
No.
You look at a magazine cover on any outdoor magazine, or take surfing, for example. Every surfing picture that's in a magazine you look at, and you're just like, how in the heck did they do that?
Every single one.
Well, and that's why, like, if you get a magazine cover as a photographer, that's a
Oh,
that's
you
a
get
big
the
deal.
Baller Award.
Yeah.
Because it
Life
takes a
goals
certain
right
level
there.
of, and depending on the category, but I mean, it takes a certain level of image to get on a magazine cover.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't just
That's every photographer's
even
goal.
as a professional photographer, you're not taking that kind of image with any regularity, no matter how much you try.
Well, and I almost wonder how much of that's politics too, though.
Oh, dude, 100%. Like, I think it's everybody's, like, every photographer's goal, like, to see their image on the front of a, you know, whether it's a, you know, a poster for a movie, or you know, a magazine cover, or you know, artwork for some major event, something like that. Like, yeah, but generally those things have some brand manager, brand something behind it with this, you know, idea in mind, and this, that, and the other, and they go out and they take this one specific picture for this one thing.
Well, look at us. Like, how many thousands of photos do we take for Dudley a year? And how many have ended up anywhere, any type of significance for
The only
Sitka?
ones I've only had Sitka use like 3 or 4 of mine, and then I took all those pictures, and they were actually not even really for Dudley. It was on Dudley trip at PSE's factory that got used in the inside archery.
Right.
You know, but other than that, I'm not aware of any other images being used for any like publication.
Right.
And the ones I took for inside archery like weren't even that good. They were just like inside of the factory, crappy lighting. And I just, Dudley wanted them, so I took them, and then they got used. Or they asked for me if they could use them. I'm like, yeah, of course. That's why I have that magazine in that room in there.
Right.
It's because those are my pictures. And that was one of my goals, is to have pictures in a magazine. That isn't the way I thought I was going to do it.
Right.
But like I remember when Foxworthy killed that big deer, and GON sent out a photographer to take the cover image for GON. I was like, I want to take a cover image for GON real, real bad. Like, that's on my bucket list, is to take a magazine cover image. When it'll happen, if it'll happen, no idea. I mean, it's something I've always wanted to do. But that one, they sent a guy out there like, this is going to be the cover. Like, I need a cover image. And they I was there. I mean, I helped prop the deer, but I didn't take the picture, you know. It was one of those things that was just really cool. And at that time I wasn't really a photographer. Like, I could take pictures, but I mean, I wasn't like I am now, which I don't consider myself like a great photographer now. I can get you lots of content. And I mean, are they going to be top tier images? Probably not. But I mean, how often, this is the thing that drives me insane. And I feel like this is the reason why we don't have some of the top tier images. How often do we get to take pictures in golden hour? Very, very rarely. We're usually hunting.
The chances that we have the extra day to take golden hour photos, the client is like, oh, nope, next trip we got an extra day to leave early. Let's leave early.
Yeah, we're leaving. And which I can't really complain. I'm the same way. I'm like a horse pointing towards the barn. Once I know it's time to go home, I'm ready to go home. You know, even if it's like, well, tomorrow morning we could get up early and it's going to be, you know, gorgeous sunrise. We could go do this, that, and the other. It's like, I mean, that sounds cool, but it also sounds cool to be 4 hours closer to home, you know. So I mean, I get it, but there are opportunities to do it. We just gotta take them. And I tell myself that all the time, like, all right, slow down, go do this thing. Like, slow down, go do this thing. I'm just always kind of on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one, and I have to try and slow myself down sometimes. But that translates very much over to the video side, even more so.
I think maybe to state more solidly that, like you said, when a magazine wanted a cover image, when somebody wants a brand image, when somebody wants that kind of content, generally, they will commission somebody to go take that image, right? And they'll say, hey, I want you to go do this thing. Whereas social content is, hey, come follow us and just get a bucket of imagery. And so the approach and the intent is entirely different, which shapes how and what you can do. If you know that your goal is to take one good picture, then you're able to take time to really analyze and create that picture, right? Like some of those pictures, yeah, for sure are like taken in the moment, especially with things like outdoor and adventure content, right? Some of that stuff is taken in the moment. But a lot of those images are created, right? There's a large difference between, I've heard a lot, especially within like more of the artsy photography side of things. There's making images and there's taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of, like a magazine cover is the classic example of making an image.
Yeah.
Right? You are creating that image. You're taking the time to craft everything that goes into it. And the shutter press is the smallest part of that entire process.
Yeah.
Right? There's all kinds of setup and planning and being in the right place. And, of course, shooting all types of iterations and different kinds of light in different situations. And then taking it back into editing and spending the time perfecting that image. Right? Like you talked to Erwin about how many pictures he will take on a trip, how many he will select, and then how many he will fully edit, and how long it takes him to get a final image. He's spending days post-producing, editing, doing all of the technical stuff on one image for the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you are taking it for social media, yes, like you said, you want to get good imagery. You want to get imagery that captures somebody's attention. You want to do all the creative things and get a variety. But you don't get to spend as much time trying to chase that one perfect image. You have to split your time getting a variety of images. And then when you come back, you need to deliver a bunch of images. So you don't get to spend 3 days working on one picture.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get to spend a week chasing one picture. You spend a week trying to get good pictures of all the things that are happening, or all of the product that is being used, or all of the experience, right?
Well, there's a lot of nights that, like, say we're with Lee and Tiffany or Dudley or whatever. We go out hunting, we're taking pictures and filming throughout the day. We get back, we're dumping footage, we eat dinner, we're editing those photos we took that day, uploading them to SmugMug, and restarting fresh the next day, because we know if we don't edit those photos at night, we're going to be taking more the next day, and they're just going to compound.
That's what Keagan did.
Yeah.
He took 14,000 and didn't edit any that night, and had to edit 14,000 pictures yesterday.
Good Lord, I wish I would have had time to do any of that.
Mm-hmm. So, but that directly translates almost verbatim into film versus like episodic content, which we've talked about so many times. There's a difference in film and follow, being a cameraman, being a producer who's producing your talent and what's happening in the field with video. And there's the third option, which is a film, where literally every shot of every scene of that movie or film or series is lit, planned, acted out, and executed. And we've used the example of Badlands before. If you're a huge fan of Badlands, good for you. If I offend you, I'm sorry. It's just
Festival.
Just my opinion. Badlands has yet to put a film on the film festival. They're all glorified web episodes. There's nothing wrong with that.
At the most.
At the most. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just wish they wouldn't call it the Badlands Film Festival. Wish they'd call it the Badlands Festival of videos instead.
I could see how hard you're trying to say something nice.
I am. But, you know, there's guys that put their heart and souls into those things, and I get it. And they're some of them are very, very good, very moving. They're not films. They're still videos. And maybe I should define what the difference is. A film tells a very specific story that's moving, that's, like I said, planned out, pre-produced, all those things, and it doesn't have to have a kill in it. We're doing a film right now that we might not even put the kill in it. I don't know. But it may or may not have one in it. But it's a true film.
It's a standalone piece.
A standalone piece that has a message, that was filmed for a purpose, with lots of planning, lots of time on my end, lots of money now, to tell a story that we feel needs to be told. And we're not using things as a crutch. And I'm not going to get into what things are used as a crutch in Badlands, but there's lots of them. We are doing it for ourselves with no outside help. We might end up selling it or trying to send it to somebody to support it just so I can cover some of my costs. But we're doing it with the entire reason we're doing it is for the story. And we're 80% done shooting it. We haven't even started editing it yet. But that's kind of where we're at right now with it. But if we were just going out to film a web episode with the same storyline, we could have shot it in a day. But it wouldn't be the same thing. And I think that's the really hard part for a lot of guys out there that are in production or starting to try to get into production, is trying to figure out the separation between being a cameraman and producer or a quote-unquote filmmaker. We aren't filmmakers yet. We're trying to be. That's what everybody wants. That's what we're all striving for. Either filmmakers or documentarians. Do we want to be on the set of the next Batman? No. I'd like to see the behind the scenes. I'd like to watch a YouTube video of it. But I have no desire to be on some big film set. Don't care about it. Don't have the patience for it. But there is a reason that a TV show for the Outdoor Channel can be shot and edited in a week or two versus why a movie takes years sometimes to make, or 6 months to a year to make. It's because everything's planned and shot and edited and redone and rehearsed and colored and planned and shot, and things are shot on certain lenses, certain cameras. Everything's done for a reason. And I think that's what guys can't get behind or can't figure out, is like, you either, like kind of like Ryer said, you either take a picture or you create an image. And in a film, you're trying to create an image, trying to create an emotion, trying to create a, some sort of something larger than yourself, something that's subconscious to the viewer. And that takes a lot of time and preparation. And that's something we want to do. And freaking, she's killing it down there, isn't she? I'm sorry if you can hear my dog down there in the bathroom, just losing her mind. But she probably needs to go to the bathroom, and I will take her out. Did you take her out?
I did.
Did she pee?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are you about to say something?
Hmm?
You are?
Do I look like I am?
Yeah, because what I was going to say is something you say, and if you were about to say it, I wasn't going to take the glory from you.
I didn't have anything. I can certainly say things. If you'd like me to,
well,
I can
go,
say
Clay.
things. Go ahead.
Ryer says it, and I felt like you were about to say this. That's why I wanted to ask if you were going to say it. But
no, I just sometimes I look like I'm thinking and I'm not.
Well, you got like this, I have something to say position.
No,
quick.
I was just changing.
Ryer says all the time, and I agree with him, that he believes, and so do I, that this group right here has the ability to create outdoor industry, cycling, fishing, hunting, whatever it is.
I like how you said cycling.
Films. But I feel like because of the clients that we have, and there's nothing wrong with our clients and the content that they want or have us create, we get pigeonholed.
We get put in a box.
Into certain
We get put in a
things.
box a lot.
Like, I feel like we're very good at what we do, and because of that, people don't come to us for other things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's half the reason I want to do some of the passion projects and ideas that I have, is like, look at what we can do. Look at what I can do.
Well,
Get the
that's
reference.
pretty neat.
That's real neat, yeah.
Right, from the SNL, from the
he
Stewart.
He didn't get it. Oh yeah, Stewart. Yeah.
Look what I can do.
But so there's things that we all have aspirations to do bigger and better things and different avenues, different videos, different genres, different everything. I don't see myself straying very far from the outdoor space because that's what I enjoy doing. But every time I hear somebody say, well, everything's been done, no, it hasn't.
Look at the notes app on Caleb.
Oh, yeah. It's not all been done, man. It's just finding either the time or the budget or the right partner to go out and do it, and to where you don't leverage everything you've ever done and losing everything if something goes terribly wrong on a shoot. And that's another reason why Keagan's here is like I want the brain power and the brain bandwidth to be able to go after different things and do different things, and I have to have somebody here to help. So you're here to help. You're going to be on the road and handling in-house social media. So
I want to go back to the Badlands Film Festival thing. I am almost scared for us if we put it in, because I feel like the Badlands, if people,
I think lots of hunters will hate it. They won't get it.
I feel like if people like us who have the ability to create a film had the time to take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks out of their busy season to create a film and put it in Badlands Film Festival for whatever the money prize is, $1,500.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah.
They would have already done it, and I feel like Badlands Film Festival is the avenue for people trying to get there to get their work out. And I feel like, for people that don't know, Badlands Film Festival, there's probably 100, 150, 200 videos that get submitted.
Oh, I bet there's more than that.
And then they go through a panel, and the panel judges on whichever ones get in.
From what I heard, it's not even a panel. It's one dude's opinion.
And I feel like,
which sucks.
if we were to put our film in, and I don't want to sound boastful, but if we were to put our film in, it would almost not be put in because it would automatically win. And that sounds bad, but like ours would look completely, or anyone out there who does this professionally that would create a film, it would look completely different than the vlog style YouTube videos that are going in Badlands, to the fact that it would look so different they wouldn't want it in because it wouldn't mesh with.
Oh, it wouldn't fit.
Exactly.
It's not going to be the same thing. I mean, we're not comparing apples to apples, and that's
Right.
what I've been saying for years. And that's why I don't even think if we finish, which I plan on having it finished and editing this summer. Now that Ryder's got a new piece of gear that we can really handle that 6 and 8K red footage on.
Hopefully.
Reviews come later.
Yeah, so
But
we can tease that though. But Ryder got a new computer.
Mac Studio.
But
No big deal.
Would you be more willing to see if someone would want to pay to put their name on that, or would you want to put that in Badlands first?
I would rather do True Friends for Badlands.
But do you think you can do that in
We can do it this summer.
5 to 8 minutes?
Yeah.
So
I think you can honestly even do even shorter than that if you wanted to.
Because what is it, 1 to 3 and then 5 to 7?
No, it's like 3 to 5 and then
5 to 8.
5 to 8. I think is what it is.
Here's a couple thoughts. I have been thinking about things. I'm going to disagree with both of you guys on a couple of accounts.
Weird.
I'm used to being disagreed with. I'm married. You forget. So go ahead.
I'm not saying that this is new. We just had a whole argument before. I think that your definition of film does include what is in Badlands. What you're trying to define as a film, your definition describes a narrative film, which has not been done in Badlands. You're correct. So what I'm opposing is that none of the Badlands things are films. They are films. Are they very excellently done films? No. What they for certain are not is narrative films, and that's what you in your head are.
They're glorified web shows. I will die on that flag.
The thing about it is, film is a very ambiguous term.
Oh,
so
it is. But
by going in a film fest, it is technically a film, but they're not well done.
look at Sundance.
Well, and then now we're going to the other thing is films are also a way for people who are not in the industry to get their name into the industry. So I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a bad thing, that there are avenues for amateurs by the technical terminology to get their work in front of people. That is at its heart what a lot of film festivals are about. And a lot of people who want to make movies will make short films as a pilot to that movie in hopes that somebody will see it, like the story enough to pick it up. So I think that those are two things that I wanted to say, because I just wanted to be a little bit more specific about the terminology that we're using. Now, I'm not going to disagree with you, Caleb, that one, there are not narrative films in Badlands. And by narrative, we mean a film that tells a story outside of reality, right? Every single story that has been told in Badlands is based in some part in an experience or a story that happened in real life, right?
Well, they're documentaries. They're not
What
films.
hasn't been done is a narrative fiction film.
Okay, we're
a depiction.
This is
Yeah.
what we call semantics.
I know. I just feel like it should be said, because I hate generalizing too much on stuff
Well,
like this.
I don't.
I know, but I also just want to say that. And I think here's a lot of the difference between a Badlands and a Sundance. The bar in the hunting industry is incredibly low.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And that's the difference
I agree
across
with you
all
there.
the boards. When you look at hunting television, it doesn't look like other television. When you look at a lot of hunting content, it doesn't look like the content from other industries.
You know why?
Because there's no budget.
No. Huge reason. Well, budget has a lot to do with it, but the biggest reason is the producer is paying for the airtime versus the network paying you, the producer, to get you there.
Right.
That's the biggest difference. That's the reason that the model's completely backwards. But that comes down to budget and then having actual production instead of, well, let's go out and kill 13 animals and make 13 shows. It's not a show. Or that's not how if I was king for the day, that's not how it will go.
Yeah, I just think that that's an important thing to say, because I think that's one of the major reasons why we always feel like we're kind of pressed up against this wall,
Oh,
because and the reason why we see so much content that doesn't live up to the expectations we have in our heads, because a lot of us base our content aspirations, our creative aspirations on TV and movies and industries where they have the budgets and the time and the creatives to go and tell these stories, and they set the bar so high, and we just don't. The hunting industry doesn't have that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing to me, the hardest part for me is I see so many things, so many ideas, so many, whether it's storyline, whether it's production value elements, whether it's angles, whether it's style choices, whether it's all these different things I see in films and in, really good like Netflix type series, and I want to incorporate those in what we do. They just don't fit, and that frustrates me so much because they don't fit in web shows and TV shows that we produce. But they would fit into things that we have ideas for, and that's why I want to be able to have the flexibility to where we can do those things every year and say, look what we are capable of doing. And I want it to be, and still the crown jewel that we've ever done, in my opinion, is what we did with Blue Stem. And that, for those of you that know, went horribly wrong on the sponsor side. So it didn't really get seen as we wanted it to be seen. But that really opened my eyes to what we were capable of doing. And we were even still inside a box there a little bit. because we were really pigeonholed with only doing, like waterfowl hunts to tell the story of the guides. More, I would love to have been able to go with their families and show the time away and, have essentially an entire year to tell that story versus a week.
Mm-hmm.
We still were in a box to some capacity. So,
well, you always operate within constraints no matter what you do, for certain. But in, I think, the hunting industry especially, and some of it is due to the nature of what we're filming. Like, you do have to operate within the constraints of a hunting scenario if you're trying to film a hunt and trying to film a kill, right? You just can't do some stuff. Because if you try to do some stuff, you're not going to get a kill.
Yeah.
So, but by the nature of some of it, you have constraints due to that. But there's also a lot of other constraints, that if you didn't have them, you could do a lot of cool stuff.
Well, and you also say...
meaning R ratings?
The hunting industry is many years behind all the other industries.
I don't even know if it's at this point, I don't even know if it's years behind anymore, or it's what happened with Bluestem and the sponsor come in and said, well, I can't watch this with my children. It's like, okay, don't watch it with your kids.
Is that saying you can't put Scream on Netflix because your kids could watch it?
That's 100%. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's not even, it's an old gentleman's club now. And it always has been.
It's a good old boys club.
It's a good old boys club. It really is. And at what point do we get to break that mold? And if we don't do it, somebody else is going to. Black Rifle's already doing it a little bit. Not necessarily just as in this industry, as in, look at what the industry they walked into, though. Their competition was Starbucks, the most buttoned up, clean.
Oh, I'll have a bear day.
Yeah. I mean, that they're literally went in and said, we are going to be the anti-Starbucks.
And a lot of the...
And they owned it.
Well,
at some point, there's going to be a hunting company that does it.
Yeah.
But it's got to be somebody with bigger balls than anybody that we work with, because nobody will let us do it. We've tried. We've asked. Nobody will let us. And at some point...
Well, it's not so much,
it's
not so much the clients that won't. It's the people that are paying for the clients to have the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because we could get a Chuck or a Dudley or a Brian or whoever it is to do it, but the people that would pay for it won't let you do it.
They won't support it. Yeah.
Right.
We got to find the Black Rifle to come in and say, gloves are off. Y'all go do the best version of this story or this narrative, and be like, Roger.
Well, and they would, but they can't fund it by themselves.
Yeah.
You need 4 or 5 Black Rifles.
Yeah. But anyway.
On a side note, I know there's still people that haven't seen Bluestem.
Uh-huh.
People should go watch Bluestem.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, guys.
You can
Get
go
it
watch
together.
it. You can watch the watered down version on YouTube. Yeah,
It's
you can't watch.
It's still really good.
It's still really good. It is. But it's not as good as it could have been. It's really good though. And we've been over. Maybe we should break that down one day. Maybe we should put that out there, and maybe that's something we can plan on, Keagan, is like putting out the 4 parts in a week and like planning and doing a podcast on breaking down, like give people an opportunity to watch it, and then we can, like Ryer and I can break down the hows and whys.
Instead of the movie that we talked about 7 podcasts ago, should we just do it with Bluestem?
We
No,
could.
you still
we
have to
should
do
watch
the movie.
We need
Like-
to do the movie still.
Y'all started this. Also, I'm invested because I was still watching when y'all started
Well,
this.
I'm waiting to hear back from this lady on buying us 6 stadium or really awesome chairs for a whole movie room, and she's not answered yet.
We could live stream Bluestem and watch that.
Oh,
and
we could.
wait till the end and then go through with people.
Mm-hmm.
You
We
know.
could
Do
do
it
that.
episode by episode.
Maybe it could be a 4-part. Yeah, 4-part.
It's an hour put together. It's going to have to be.
Yeah, we could do part 1, break down part 1.
It'd be an
part
hour
2.
per episode.
Ryer's super excited about it.
No,
I have a whole thought in my head, and I'm.
You're trying to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I think that we need to talk more practically about the difference in approach between how we film a web show, a TV show, and a film. Because we talked theoretically about a lot of the differences between maybe them, and then got into some, headier industry insider talk.
Are you okay?
Huh?
Are you okay?
What do you mean?
Are you running a fever?
No.
Because you're wanting to not talk theoretically and want to talk practically, and I just wanted to make sure that you were okay, buddy.
Yes.
Well, I just feel like
I'm glad you're okay. Carry on. It was a great thought. Carry on.
I just feel like, I want to do both because also we do have questions we got to answer on the Instagram.
And we're 42 minutes into this.
Yeah, I just wanted because
for us.
I wanted to be able to have some practical ideas because I know a lot of people.
Do it.
You first.
I've been talking. I'm tired of talking. Somebody else talk.
I can go first if you want me to go first.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to use Lee and Tiff and Spy Point as an example because obviously Lee and Tiff is a TV show and Spy Point is an 8 to 10 minute web show. And that's literally the only 2 things I filmed from August until January.
Yeah.
So those are only 2 things I can come off the top of my head. So literally filming Lee and Tiff, and they're a bit different because they hunt every day and their shows are based around a deer and not a hunt, if that makes sense. So like they go out west and they go elk hunting and mule deer hunting, and that edit is from those 5 days, but Lee could kill a deer in November 1st, but see him on October 1st, and that's going to be part of the episode. So it's not what we would call linear. But I find myself almost shooting more now for the web shows than I was before.
I'm going to go let the dog out. Y'all continue.
Because I have the ability as the editor to not use it if I don't want to. No, if that makes sense. Like, I will film enough to make a 25-minute episode, and knowing that if we get back in to editing and there's 3 days of 5 where nothing happened but 2 super action-packed days, I have the liberty to throw those 3 slow days out and just show the 2 action-packed days. And I would almost say it's a difference between linear and non-linear edits versus TV or web, if that makes sense. To a degree, of course. Like TV, you still have to meet that 22.5-minute time mark or you can't make a show. But you would film a linear TV show different than you would film a season-long deer, whatever you want to call it, for like Lee. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that more of it comes down to the style of whatever it is you're doing, plus where it needs to go and how long it needs to be. I think that when you film a TV show, you know that you have 21 to 23 minutes of content that you have to fill. And so you end up filming a lot more things in general. And also when you film a TV show, you have built in, which you have on web shows, but more so on the TV side because of how much more expensive it is to have a TV show. You have a lot more sponsor requirements on a television show. So when you're filming a TV show, you film a lot more stuff generally, and you are going to film a lot more sponsor stuff. You always have to have your eye on getting shots of sponsor products, getting shots of hosts using sponsor products. Some sponsors obviously require you to film whole dedicated segments for them, all that kind of stuff. When you film a web show, you still have a lot of those things. It's just generally a condensed version. So the only real big difference oftentimes in the physical act of filming a TV show versus a webisode is that you're just probably going to do less of the things that you would do with a TV show. But what I think makes more of a difference is the style of the show and the style of the web show, right? So for like the Make It Happen stuff that is coming out soon, we film a lot more kind of travel, off-the-wall stuff, the in-between stuff, because for that show concept, for what that show wants to talk about, it's applicable. We film a lot of stuff there that we wouldn't film with Lee and Tiff. And the same goes for, like, Lee and Tiff. We film a lot more of the management stuff for them that we won't film for Make It Happen, mostly because we're not really managing anywhere.
Right.
But that's a giant part of Lee and Tiff's show. I think a lot of the big difference is when you're filming a TV show, you never really know like how much of something you're going to need to use.
Right.
Because with a web show, like you said, you get in as an editor, or if you hand it to an editor, you get the liberty to say, well, nothing important happened here, we can throw it out, right? Because if your web show ends up being 5 minutes or 10 minutes, generally that's fine. With a TV show, you have to hit that number. Like, you don't get to go over, you don't get to go under. And like we've always said, it's much easier to, it's not necessarily easier, but it's better to take away than it is to try to stretch, especially if you don't have the content you need to stretch. And so I know when I go into filming a TV show, I film every sit as if it could be used as a significant part of a segment. Like, I try to film everything with the same level of importance, because you never know. You might have a day where you're thinking, oh, well, this isn't not a whole bunch is happening or whatnot, but maybe you come back into editing and it's like, well, not a whole lot happened for 5 days, and then we get one day where something happened.
Well, you'll see
and
that.
Now you have to make a show out of 5 days of nothing happening and 1 day of something happening. And the 1 day of something happening is one segment of the show. So you have 3 segments of the show, basically 15-ish minutes, where the nothing happening has to be interesting.
Right.
And so you, as a producer, are always trying to make everything that is happening usable within the show, right? So if nothing is happening, let's make something about nothing happening.
You still have to document the events of
Right.
the day. Well, that's as filming your web show, your TV show.
Right.
You're documenting everything.
Yeah.
You know, where the different, you could take it into like a short film where you're filming, you have your shots. This is all you shoot. Where you go into your TV, web show, anything else like that, you know, even your generic like YouTube shows, they're just documenting everything.
Yeah.
And then you can compile and be your filmmaker and post and do kind of what you want. But
Well, you think about it, like how many times have you watched a web show and they kill on the first day, right? And it's a kill. It's a web show with a kill, and it's like 3 minutes because they killed on the first day of a 5-day trip. That to me tells me that whoever was filming that went in with the expectation of being able to get things on day 2, 3, and 4, and probably killing on 4 or 5, and having to have 3 days worth of footage to go back on, and it bit them in the butt because they didn't want to take the time to get those drone shots or get those loading the truck shots or all this kind of things. And now they're 24 hours into a hunt with a kill. They're able to go home 3 days early because they're done 3 days early, and they don't have what they need to make a 5 to 8 minute web show. Now, I've never had the luxury of killing on the first day, so that's good, but you do see that quite a bit.
it's definitely something to keep in mind,
Right.
you know, in the back of your head that today, right now, could be the moment.
But on the opposite side, that would be for web. For TV, like say like Tiffany this year was with Caleb's second sit of the year. We gotta make sure she doesn't chew cords. The second sit of the year this year with Caleb, Tiffany killed her target buck. But with TV, you have that luxury to, because TV has a lot of it has to do with your turnaround time. Web has a 2-week turnaround time, where with TV, like, you get back and you're editing this time of year for a TV show that was shot in October, and Tiffany killed on the first day, and you have 1 day of history with this deer other than trail camera pictures. Like, you have the luxury as an editor to tell the people that are shooting, hey, this summer y'all need to go back and do stuff managing, preparing food plots, setting stands for this deer because she killed on the second day. There's not much of a, like, venture out for this deer. You saw it on day one. So you have that luxury with TV going back and creating a story around that deer, where if that was a web show and we had to make a 8 to 10 minute web show, we would have 2 sits to make an 8 to 10 minute web show about Tiff hunting this deer. So it also has a lot to do with your turnaround time.
And deer hunting, you just don't, unless you just have like the most epic sit in the whole history of ever. It's really hard to make a whole show out of one sit.
Well, that's what we were saying. Like, how many times have you watched? There's been a web show with a kill, and it's been like 3 minutes because they killed on the first day, and then everyone's like, "All right, peace. We're out of here. We're going home 3 days early," and like you literally don't have anything because you planned on day 4 or 5 being your kill.
Yeah, that's why when guys watch shows and everything, I'm like, so you watched the kill, right? Like, yeah. I was like, this is like third or fourth segment. Yeah, I was like, so there was another 21 minutes of content. Where'd it come from? And they're like, huh. And then, I mean, it's like this so subconscious to them that they don't even realize that there was a week of work went into that. You know, a week of shooting and then a week or two of editing. It's like they're just like, oh, I didn't even understand that. That doesn't make any sense. It's like that's why I encourage somebody to follow along with what we do on editing and stuff like that. To like, there's so much time and thought and effort goes into this, and that's why it's so frustrating for us as we go and we create these films or episodes or TV shows or whatever, and we got so much time invested and money invested, and people like, yeah, man, that was a really cool deer. It was a big deer he killed. It's like, gosh, man, there's so much more to that episode than that. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching the YouTube live stream, you get to see the new pup. If you're not, then you suck.
Well, that's like the big deer that Brian killed in Alberta. Unless people are listening to this and they hear me say that y'all killed on the first night and you had to go back the next evening and fake pass on deer to make an episode, they would just think you had like just the perfect.
You know what? Guess how many other people are actually willing to do that too to make a better story. Probably. And that's another thing that drives me insane. We've talked about it before. Is did we lie to the viewer? Maybe. Was it more entertaining? Absolutely. And that's what we're there for. We're there for entertainment. We're there for products. We're there for companies, and we're trying to do the best job by those people as we can.
But also, if the web show were to play out and y'all kill on the first night, it's like, oh, that was high fence, or oh, it must be nice to pay that much for that hunt. Yeah. Where you show them how it actually turned out and they have something to say about it, but then they find out you didn't show it exactly how it turned out and they got something to say about it.
Yeah. All right, sit down. No,
this
sit
is
down.
a good thing to remind people, though, or bring up, though, just the end of turkey season. You know, anybody filming turkey hunts, especially because there are a lot of turkey hunts that first day. You know, you get it done at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
both of us this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's been something almost where you've got to think about that filming going into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and it, a lot of this has to do a lot like. There's so much in your shooting process that is informed by everything else that is not happening on that hunt. A lot of your shooting process has to do with where is this video living? Who is it for? What's the style of it? What is important for this client? What do they want to see? What don't they care about? All of those things inform what you're going to shoot, how you're going to shoot it, and all those things. And that's really more of a pre-production sort of process. But I think a lot of times people go into something, especially newer guys, and they show up with a camera, and then they film the kill. And then they're like, oh, well, I did the job. And my entire thought process all the time is like, if I had to make something out of this, could I? Yeah. And so I act and I shoot more than most people because of that thought process.
Well, it's a good thought process to have, though. You always have what you need.
Right. And I do it like on a granular basis. So when I'm sitting in a tree, I want to get all of the things that I might, if that deer shows up at first light, that's not my, unless it literally, like we sit in the tree and it shows up before I can shoot anything, which doesn't really happen. It's maybe happened once or twice where the first thing that I shot was like a deer coming in or something. But most of the time, when I show up and we get set up, I start filming things immediately. Scenics and locations, and as soon as there's enough light that I can get an interview, I get the interview.
Yeah.
Because if that deer shows up early, I need all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then if the deer doesn't show up early and the light changes and now the sun's coming up, okay, now I get the same shots, quote unquote same shots, again with the sun coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the day is starting to get long and it's the middle of the day. Okay, now I'm going to get some middle of the day shots. Because I'm always thinking about having the pieces that I need for whenever it happens, whenever the kill happens, right? And you got to think about that in the entirety of the show, right? So that doesn't just apply to when you get there in the morning. It also applies when you show up to the place that you're going to hunt. You need to just assume that the very next thing you shoot at all times is going to be like the kill, right? I guess we'll say the kill because we're talking about TV and web. Like, you just have to always assume that the next thing that's going to happen is the kill and that you're not going to be able to do what you need to do after that. Which is honestly happens a lot. Like, you think, oh, well, we've got 3 days here. If it happens on the first day, well, we'll just go back and recreate stuff. Well, a lot of clients don't want to do that. Like, if they kill, they're
all
like,
clients don't want to do that.
they're like, oh, well, we killed, we're done.
Right.
And so you can't bank on that, like you said.
Right.
You have to always have this mindset in your head of get the stuff before you need it. Like, think about what you need and be getting those things before you need to get them.
When I'm in a tree stand, I kind of have a stock set of B-roll shots that I just get because I like those B-roll shots, and I know it gives me 7 or 8 shots that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get those as soon as I can see with my camera. I get those because then it's like your early morning. You get those, and then I get them again, mostly for TV. Web, not so much because I know it. Not everything's gonna get. I've kind of gotten to the point. I think all 3 of us have where when we're shooting web, we know what's getting used and what's not. But with TV, like Lee and Tiff, as soon as my camera can see to where my ISO is not through the roof, I'm getting those B-roll shots. And then in gray light, I'm getting those B-roll shots again. And then as the sun's coming up, I'm getting those B-roll shots again. And then when it's daylight, I'm getting those B-roll shots again. So I now have them 4 different times of the morning for whenever they need to be used. But then as the sun's coming up and flares start happening or you can see things or silhouettes, I'm getting other B-roll shots out of those 5 or 6 or 7 that I normally get. But even then, that gives you a timeline just of that before you even start filming deer or talking of the morning progressing. You know what I mean? So then at the very least, with a couple pieces of talking and seeing an animal or 2, I can build out 2 minutes of a morning hunt, literally from that.
Yeah.
And it's also important to always give yourself that beginning, middle, and end wherever you may need it.
Right.
You don't want to tie yourself to a beginning, middle, or an end. And you certainly always need a beginning and middle and end. And if you don't think that you need a beginning and middle and end, go at it and come talk to me again.
Yeah.
Because if you think that you just show up and shoot stuff and then like go edit it, you will find you're missing things in your edit, and you'll be like, oh well.
But not only do you need a
thing.
beginning, a middle, and end for the video, you need a beginning, a middle, and end for each scene within that video.
Right, and you also need to have the flexibility to, okay, well, maybe I need to draw this whole hunt out. Let's start from dark and go through. Or maybe I don't need to do that. I'm going to come into it from, sunrise, or I'm going to come into it in the afternoon, Like, you should give yourself in your shots the flexibility to begin and end wherever really you need to.
Well, and not so much TV, but for web, I will do this the first evening or the first morning of, once again, let's just say tree stand hunting or turkey hunting, the first morning or evening, I will shoot the crap out of getting ready, getting to the spot, and then walking through the woods or through the, into the food plot or whatever it is, getting up in the stand. I'll shoot the crap out of it. That way, I know I have a lot of getting ready, gearing up, getting to the stand, getting to the ground blind, whatever it is. That way, if for whatever reason something happens and the next morning it's pouring rain and I can't film until I get in the tree stand or whatever it is, like I at least have enough that I can squeeze it, getting ready and everything into 2 mornings.
And then you've got to do that
when the weather changes.
When the seasons change.
But if all else fails, once again, if for whatever reason we kill that first morning and that first evening, I have enough stuff that I can stretch out. And then if I get a bunch of really, really good stuff, I don't necessarily have to film that every morning and every evening, maybe just one more time to make sure I have enough.
No.
And then I think this is where we talk about the major difference between filming, like you said, documentary type content, which is TV shows and web shows in the hunting industry, and films or brand content. When we go film, when we have been filming the film, we had a very defined plan and shot list before we shot. So with most of the things we shoot 90% of the time, the most kind of planning we have is, like I said, the generals about where it's going, who the client is, what the style of that particular show may be, and the things that are important for that piece of content. But other than that, like we don't plan, okay, we need this shot and this shot and this shot and this shot and shots of these things, right? It's all very just kind of general situation-based, instinctual, based on, like I said, all the kind of general planning. When you go shoot a film or you go shoot a piece of very specific brand content, we will have a list. Sometimes we'll literally have a list of, okay, we're going to start the piece with this, then it goes here, then it goes into this thing, and then it ends here, and then that may break down into, okay, we need these 5 or 6 shots here, we need these 15 shots here, we need these 10 shots here, we need this lapse, this drone, we're going to do these things with the GoPro. Like, before you show up to shoot that thing, you already have a pretty defined list of all of the stuff that you have to shoot. And then you just go execute that list.
Well, we have that.
And so a lot of the, like, you keep hearing us talk about, okay, when I show up, I shoot this and this over and over and over again and shoot all of the changes and shoot all of this big, huge bucket of stuff because we don't know the end product yet. And we don't know what we're going to need for the end product.
And it does evolve as we're shooting sometimes. Sometimes we see things that we had planned and we're like, yeah, that's going to suck because of this weather or this wind or this particular animal or the kill shot didn't happen. And we had in our mind. Like, it always is changing. It's always adapting, but we always go in with a pretty dang good plan.
Well, like when we go to Lee and Tiff's next week, we have a sponsor shoot we have to do. And the creative director for that brand literally sent us a document that says this shot, this angle, from this framing, and we're going to get to
Talking about the marathon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, literally it's laid out 10 or 15 shots that we have to get. And then, I mean, I would assume that if we see anything else cool or creative that we'll get that. But it wasn't like he was, hey, get us a 30-second commercial. Like, they literally hired a creative director to plan this out and say, you're going to get this shot, 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 and this shot. And sometimes that's great because really no legwork on our end other than reading the script and doing that exact shot and being done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of the, I think a lot of the major differences in approach, well, and two, with brand content or a film, again, like what we talked about with the photos, is you have a bias towards, generally, quality. And you will do what you need to do to maintain a very high quality of image. Whereas with a lot of documentary style stuff, you don't get that privilege. Like you need to make the image from what you can do, right? If the light sucks in this particular moment and you need to be filming in that moment, you just have to deal with it and film. Whereas with brand content or with a film, if the light sucks or the weather isn't great or you don't like this location or this thing isn't working out, you go, okay, well, let's wait for the light. Let's do this different. How can we make it better, make it the best it can be? It'll never be perfect, ever, right? And you always, when you're filming documentary style stuff, you want it to be as good as possible, but you have to live with getting the shot, right? The priority is getting the things as they happen, generally. So you have to prioritize getting the stuff. When you are filming for a brand or a film, your priority is getting it as good as possible, and generally you don't have to get it then. You can wait or do it differently in order to get that thing.
Yeah.
And so your approach is entirely different. Like
I think about that with like Yellowstone and like how many times they're shooting in absolutely perfect lighting conditions outside.
And they're also
how much time do they wait? Be like, yep, we got to wait for the light to get right, or they wake up on set and it's cloudy and they're like, yep, not shooting today, waiting for the better light.
I did that last year in Alaska with NCIS. They came out to the lodge and shot an episode.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they had their set list, and we had to do 2 days worth of stuff in one day because the next day it was supposed to be cloudy and windy.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have that because it wasn't going to mesh in their scene.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do all of this, but we also had to wait like for the right light and timing. So we were trying to like flip flop and cram stuff together, and it just ended up that it was okay. But they've got a specific color tone in the sunset that they want for that shot, and they're going to sit there by God and wait for it.
Yeah. Gosh, it'd be nice to be able to do that.
In a lot of like a production like Yellowstone, 100% has that planned in, where they know, hey, we're going to have weather days where we can't do this, and they just have it planned. And they
because there's going to be some days in Montana where it's so windy you physically can't shoot that day.
Yeah, can you imagine the audio guys trying to fix that?
God bless them. So we done there? You ready to answer questions? We're already an hour and 9 minutes into this one. We probably should answer questions.
Do you think we covered it? Is everybody satisfied with our?
I think so.
Forwards and backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, where's the questions at?
They're on.
I don't have questions.
They're on the Redneck Tech. You got them.
I'm on the Redneck Tech. There are no questions.
Yeah, there are. Go back. Go exit out of that.
Oh, I got them. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you meant on a live stream.
Yeah, no.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. All right, here we go.
If you've bared with us this long, we finally get to that.
Doing photo or video work seems to have awkward moments. How do you all lighten the mood and keep it fun?
A lot of our clients are our friends.
Yeah, I think that helps, but I think it helps more than anything to have already created a rapport before those things happen. I think it's one of those things to where, and that was like one of our former clients, not working with us now. That was one of the things that he said when we first started working with him is, he's like, you guys are way more personable and fun and funny and just hang out and shoot the crap more so than anybody else I've ever worked with. And I take pride in that because I don't want it. And like we had guys come to our class and like, yeah, we really think this might be like a really professional environment. We're like, no. It's not that we aren't professionals, but we carry ourselves in a way that's very conversational, very, we're buddies, and we try and be buddies with all the people that we work with and work alongside our clients and all those things. And when you create a relationship and a rapport with people, when things inevitably do happen that are not ideal, I think that those things just roll off your back because it's not a big deal. I think once you now if you're not the person or personality that's going to have that rapport with somebody. I've had things happen like the first time I ever met people and things are awkward, but I think it just comes down to your personality, whether or not you can handle that or not. And I don't have I've never had a knock on wood, never had no crazy situation happen, but For the most part, it's been pretty straightforward for me. I mean, nothing big majors happened.
Well, we also, before we go on a shoot with somebody, we're always having at least one phone call with them. So even though when we show up to shoot, it might be the first time we're actually meeting that person, we have had 1 or 2 or 3 conversations on the phone with them, just the initial hello, and then, planning out the shoot and things like that. So they kind of already have felt us out, and we felt them out on how people are.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really it's not like it's, I think part of the question stems in like, okay, if you're doing a photo shoot with somebody and they're kind of an awkward person, or you're having awkward moments, how do you solve that? I think a lot of it is just, it's either your personality or it's not, right? Like if you are able to go hang out with people and talk to people and get along with people and spend time with people, you're probably going to be fine. If you are the type of person who like can't do that, then you're going to have a hard time. And it's not really like you can teach that. I mean, it's just kind of like be positive and just bring a good attitude to the situations. And generally, most of the time, you'll be fine. Obviously, there's always crappy moments that happen, but the thing is, everybody is in it together, right? Like, if some crappy stuff is happening, everybody has to deal with that. Everybody that is in that situation is having to deal with that thing, So it's just kind of like, hey, just you deal with it, be positive, make some jokes, just be a cool person.
Yeah.
And that's usually going to get you pretty far.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. So Big Daddy Hauser said, born and raised us 45-minute web shows. Takes a little longer than it takes him to take a crap to watch one, but they're like lower quality films.
Not a web show. It's a vlog.
It's a vlog. I don't understand if that's a question. Also, my response might be a little longer than film, but I like longer films than most people. Yeah, that's a vlog. That's not a film, and it's not a web show. I don't know if there's a question in that. I tried to make sense of it. Serial Box, do you shoot film, quote-unquote, cinematic for TV, or keep that film and keep a different format for TV? What are viewers' expectations for each? I'm trying to figure out the difference between them all and how to shoot them differently or / better. I think what he's asking is, do we shoot films different? The film that we shot, do we shoot it differently than we shoot like TV? And the answer is yes. We shot part of it. We shot it very, very with this very strategic purpose in mind, and with the
film.
The film. We shot a very specific person. We literally started out locked down on tripod, and we moved to slightly handheld. Then we moved to very chaotic handheld with a goal in mind, and then we shot it on a red because we also knew that we were going to do some different things in color correction that we would need that raw file for. So yes, we do shoot it differently, but it's for a reason, not necessarily the quote unquote cinematic value, I guess, which I guess it kind of would be. And then for TV, really what we're doing there is we're trying to get the best quality we can, but within the confines of time and space. And what I mean by space is how much gear you can physically carry with you and how quickly you have to change lenses, to change gear, to modify things while on a hunt. That's your limiting factor most of the time. That's why we try and shoot with one lens most of the time, our 24 to 240, just because you just don't have the time a lot of times to switch lenses, to change, focal lengths, or, I want a faster lens for this or a wider lens for that. Like, we just don't have the time to do that. Whereas in a film you do. But all those things, like drones, like time lapses, like high speed, like all this, those are all tools in your toolkit. They shouldn't be used as a crutch.
Again, I think this is also more of a question of style than anything else. We could take the 3 different TV shows that we've worked on, and every single one of them is filmed slightly different. Huntmasters was filmed more cinematically because the style of that show was in the vein of a more cinematic show. So yeah, we definitely filmed that one different. All the way down to what color space we were using to film that. Now, maybe we should have used a different color space in retrospect, but the reason we chose the color space that we did was to achieve a more cinematic look. With Lee and Tiff, we're not we're filming it completely opposite in terms of what we film and how we film it. With Hunt Masters, where you were taking extra days to get scenics, we were planning and shooting skits to support the hunts. We were shooting an S-Log for better color. We had always multiple shooters, sometimes one guy just doing scenics. Like, that was shot in a very purposeful way, and no talking to the camera. Greg didn't like that, so any talking that he had to do was either done in voiceover or done to another person, to another person, right? Whether that be a guide or somebody else. So you have to shoot in a very specific way for that, and it gives it a more cinematic feel. With Lee and Tiff, we're not doing those things. You're producing a lot of talking. You're getting things as they happen. You're not usually taking extra days to get scenics, and the scenics, I mean, I don't think that the scenics are not getting used as heavily in their show as they would be in Hunt Masters. You were shooting in a Cinetone color space because the color grading isn't really, it doesn't need to be extravagant. It just needs to look good.
Yeah.
And the turnaround time on that is more important than perfecting the color by using S-Log. You know, and the way that we shot this film is stylistically different than the way that we shot Blue Stem.
Yeah.
You know, while Blue Stem is you know, it's definitely, I don't know if I would say Blue Stem is cinematic in the way that people think about things being cinematic, but I think that you know, you can look at a variety of things, and everything you see is shot differently.
We intentionally went for a very grungy, dirty feel to it, because that's how people view, like, waterfowl guides, is very rough and tough and never like really clean shaven. I mean, look at you. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
thanks, man.
We have one.
So we intentionally shot it that way because we asked a couple people, like, what do you think when you think of a waterfowl guide? And you're like, jacked up hands, very unkempt, no sleep, running on caffeine and hate, you know, that kind of thing. And
Hi, nice to meet you.
So it's that was very much why it was shot that way, which I think you think of the Batman that we just watched. It was incredibly dark, but the entire film was very, very dark. The theme of it, very, very dark. It was taking you to a place subconsciously. That's the whole goal. That is cinematic, and that's Tim Weedy asked the question, how do you keep the cinematic look and vibe while running and gunning in the field?
I think there's a misconception that cinematic is one thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I think cinematic is used for people to be like, oh, this is a amateur video and this one is cinematic, right? Mm-hmm. Cinematic doesn't have one look. Like, go look at cinema, right? And you can see every single different look and style.
Well, that's the
possible.
Well,
when people refer to like something cinematic, they're referring to a very stereotypical look and feel.
You could blame Instagram for that one.
Right. But like,
it's
not, cinematic is not one thing. So when somebody is like, hey, how can I make my stuff cinematic? I don't know, what kind of cinematic?
Yeah.
Do you want Batman cinematic? Or do you want...
Well, that was the example I was going to use. It's like, look at Christopher Nolan's Batman, then look at this new Batman.
Yeah.
They're both very cinematic. They both look completely different. Both cinematic. Neither one of them's wrong. It's just one's a completely different style. There's a whole look. There's a whole, you know, they
go look at those versus the Marvel movies. They're in the same vein of stuff, and they look and
they
feel
go so
different.
granular as to, you know, the new Batman movie literally had lenses put out of tune just so they would have a certain look on camera. Like, that is cinematic. Like, it goes down to how you do it running gunning is you literally have to think about, what am I trying to accomplish here? And shooting those wide, medium tights, using foreground, using background, shooting things with a high f-stop, shooting things with a low f-stop, and all those things for a reason. When you're chasing somebody, you gotta think of these things, because there's no one right way, like Ryder said, to be cinematic. And I want to answer Jason's question. We're going to have to end this because my battery is about to go on my laptop, and I don't want to lose everybody. Jason asked on the actual Instagram or the YouTube, do we have any requests for dinner food for next week in Iowa?
Anything we don't have to cook.
Anything we don't have to cook. I told him those chorizo burritos he did were really good.
One or two of those in a water bottle holder of your turkey vest.
Told him lots of meat. We like red meat. So I told him we weren't really anything special.
He's
I told
not very
him
good
dietary restrictions. He said he's lactose intolerant too, so that was not a big deal.
He's not very good at cooking steaks, or probably not steaks.
Yeah, I know. And we have one more question, but I might have you and Ryder answer this one on Instagram Live, because this one's going to take a while. Everything about the details of social media marketing, especially algorithms and how to use them.
I'm out.
Yeah, that one's.
I think that might end up having to be like one to wait for like a full-on podcast to talk about, because we're not going to be able to cover that one on the fly specifics.
Nor do I want to.
Yeah.
I'll be sick that day.
Tim, I agree. The term cinematic is very overused nowadays. 100% agree. But when you see something cinematic, you know it's cinematic.
What show does Tim edit?
I don't know. What show do you edit, Tim? Answer the YouTube thing.
I think, to wrap it all things up in a bow, if I may be extremely general, is the way you shoot anything is entirely based on what you're trying to do, and you should decide that before you go shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
You should know those things before you go shoot them.
And stick to it.
And stick to them. Like, okay, this is the story I want to tell. These are the constraints I have. This is where it's going. Know all of the variables you can, and then decide, okay, I want it to look like this. I want to show, tell, do these things, and then shoot in such a way that you can accomplish that. And just cover your bases. Like, if you go into a shoot with at least a plan on how you want to accomplish it stylistically, and you get your coverage, you will be able to make something pretty similar to what you're trying to get at, right? So, like, I can't sit here and give you the answers like, oh, if you're going to shoot TV, do X, Y, Z. Because if you came to me tomorrow and gave me a TV show to shoot, I would ask you a whole plethora of questions to help me determine what it is that we have to shoot and how we need to shoot it. So you just have to, when you're thinking of shooting something, sit down and think about, okay, what are all of the things? How do I want it to look? How do I, go all the way in the future and think about that end product, and then go, okay, what are all the things I need to do to accomplish that end product? And that will inform how you shoot it.
But not only the end product, the nuance of that end product. Like, I don't want I can't tell you how many times a client has said, they'll call us and they say, hey, we want to do a video launch for this new product. Like, okay, what is it? What do you got in mind? I don't know, just something cool. I've been told that so many times. AKA, I don't know what I want. I want you to tell me what I want.
I muted myself. Until you see what we come up with, and that's not what you want.
Yeah. Or the best thing is I was like, send me a video example of something similar that you like.
And I know where this is going.
And then it's like, okay, well, your budget's $1,500, and you just sent me a no less than $100,000 Warren Winch video.
Or the Ford Raptor commercial.
Or the Ford Raptor commercial. You're like, are you kidding me right now? What's our budget? Oh, $5,000? Oh, cool. That's not what you're getting.
Let me go down and get a Chevrolet S10.
There's nothing more frustrating.
Half of the first shot cost twice your budget. That'll happen.
So, Tim edits Extreme Outer Limits.
Okay.
Long-range hunting, filming the last 2 years and editing the last 8 months.
I got
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Extreme Outer Limits.
All right, that's all I got. We're about to run out of juice on the Instagrams anyway, so we're going to have to roll.
I bet Ryers would last longer.
They're probably about the same, actually.
I was trying to give you a little something there, but
Hate your guts. All right. Hit the correct button this time. Peace.
Peace.